If a book can change the way you see the world, this is where you'll find it. I'm Karo Chen. Let's explore together the books that truly shape our destinies. The book we're diving into today might completely change your relationship with money. It's The Road to Financial Freedom by Bodo. Many people think financial freedom is an unreachable dream, but in reality, it's a skill, something you can actually learn. Let's start with the author. Bodo isn't one of those theorists who just sit in their study and write about success. He literally pulled himself out of financial ruin. At 26, he was drowning in debt, struggling to pay rent. But within just 4 years, he achieved financial freedom, living entirely off the interest from his investments. That personal experience gives his words real weight. He deeply understands the anxiety, confusion, and avoidance that most people feel when it comes to money. This book has sold over 10 million copies worldwide and has been translated into 35 languages. Why is it so popular? Because it breaks a huge misconception that financial freedom is only for the rich. Bodo shows that ordinary people can also become wealthy by following a clear, repeatable system. He doesn't tell you to gamble on stocks or win the lottery. Instead, he helps you rebuild how you think about money. Just like learning to drive requires knowing traffic rules, making money requires understanding the rules of the wealth game. So, what exactly is financial freedom? It's not about earning 100 million. It's about having choices. It means being able to quit a job you hate without fear, not worrying about medical bills when a family member gets sick, or spending time with your kids without being chained to a time card. Bodo says money should give you a sense of security and freedom, the chance to live the life you truly want. That's what we're really after. But many people have a love-hate relationship with money. They want to earn more, yet believe having money makes people bad. They say talking about money is tacky, but still complain they never have enough. Then they spend their entire paycheck on things they don't really need. These subconscious beliefs are like invisible hands that keep your wallet tightly shut. Bodo shares a story from his childhood. When he was 6, he visited his father in the hospital and saw people coming every day asking for help, all with the same problem. They had no money. Seeing that helplessness and humiliation left a deep mark on him. From that day, he made a promise to himself, "I will never live like that." That story is powerful, because at its core, the desire for money is really the desire for a life with dignity. But wanting it isn't enough. The truth is, many people don't even understand their own finances, how much they spend, how much debt they owe, or what assets they own that actually generate income. It's like driving a car without ever checking the dashboard. You'll go off course sooner or later. So let's start with a simple question. Do you really know your financial situation? This isn't about making you anxious. It's about helping you find your starting point. Because until you know where you are, you can't plan where you're going. Many people avoid talking about their finances, the same way students avoid looking at their report cards. We think that if we don't look, the problem doesn't exist. But Bodo sounds the alarm in his book. Your attitude toward money is written in your bank statements, and your future plans are already reflected in your balance sheet. If you want to change your financial destiny, the first step is to pull your head out of the sand and answer a few tough questions. Start by giving yourself a financial checkup. Bodo designed 24 self-assessment questions in his book, but here are the 5 most important ones, and you can answer them right now in your head. Question 1. How would you rate your income, from excellent to terrible? And remember, the comparison isn't with others, but with your own needs. For example, if you earn $10,000 a month but owe $8,000 in loan payments, being satisfied might just be self-deception. Bodo has seen too many people triple their salary, only to have their debt increase 5-fold. Because when income grows, so do desires. Question 2. Is your net worth positive or negative? Your net worth equals your total assets, like savings, property, and stocks, minus your total debts, such as mortgages, credit card balances, or personal loans. Some people say, I have a house worth $1 million. But if they owe $800,000 on the mortgage, their net worth is only $200,000. Worse still, if your total assets are $50,000 and your debts are $100,000, your net worth is negative $50,000, which means everything you own can't even cover what you owe. Question 3. Can you save 10% of your income every month? Bodo calls this the golden rule. He's seen countless high earners making $50,000 a month, yet saving nothing, because they believe they'll save later when they earn more. But the truth is, if you can't save 10% now, you never will. Saving isn't what you do after spending. It's what you do before. Like watering a plant, you water the roots first, not the leaves. Question 4. Do you have a clear financial plan? A plan isn't, I want to make more money next year. It's, I want to save $300,000 in emergency funds within 3 years and buy a small apartment within 5. Bodo shares an example. 2 people with the same income. One just goes with the flow and stays broke after 5 years. The other saves 15% monthly and learns to invest in funds. 5 years later, he's sitting on $600,000 in capital. The difference is having a roadmap. Question 5. Are the people around you richer or poorer than you? Bodo says your social circle is the average of your financial level. If your friends live for today, talking about bubble tea and designer bags, you'll likely spend the same way. But if you hang around people who quietly buy property and study investing, you'll start thinking, how did they do that? The environment shapes you 10 times more than you think. That's the end of your financial checkup for now. Some people say, I'm too busy to do all this. But Bodo calls out the truth. It's not that you don't have time, it's that you're afraid to face it. Just like some people avoid stepping on a scale, we avoid facing the fact that we're sinking deeper into financial quicksand. Bodo shares a real case. One student claimed his finances were fine. But when he was forced to calculate, it turned out he had maxed out 5 credit cards and taken out online loans, paying more in monthly interest than in rent. He thought he could pay it back slowly, but the interest snowballed. He was already trapped in a debt cycle, borrowing from one source to pay another. Why? Because we hold too many comforting lies about money. I'll save once I get promoted. But when that happens, your spending grows too. I'm still young, I have time to save later. But starting compounding young versus middle-aged can make a 10-fold difference. It's okay to owe a little. Everyone does. But just because everyone does it doesn't make it right. Bodo's story at age 6 makes this clear. In the hospital, he saw visitors crying to his father about having no money. They complained about unfair fate but never tried to change it. He realized early on, poverty isn't fate. It's a choice. The poor choose avoidance, choose not to learn, choose to be dragged by inertia. But I believe that some of you, after hearing this, will actually choose to calculate. And maybe you'll panic realizing how bad things are. But Bodo says the goal isn't to beat yourself up. It's to find where to start climbing. Like hiking a mountain, you need to know you're at 500 meters before you can plan to reach 1,000, then the summit. He's his own best example. At 26, he was 40,000 euros in debt, 18 kilos overweight, and full of self-doubt. But the first thing he did was make a detailed financial list. Who do I owe? How much interest? How much can I pay monthly? Where can I earn more? The list was painful to look at, but it became his roadmap out of the mud. 3 years later, he had cleared his debts and saved his first investment fund, his first bit of money that earned money. So no matter how bad your numbers look right now, be grateful, because at least you know where the problem is. The next step is to destroy the toxic beliefs that are dragging you down, like, I'll never make big money, or saving makes life miserable. Those thoughts are even deadlier than debt itself. In the next part, we'll talk about how to replace those poor mindsets with the thinking patterns of the wealthy. When most people think about wealth, their first reaction is to rely on luck, family background, or catching the right opportunity. But Bodo Schaefer completely shatters that illusion in his book. Behind almost every so-called miracle of wealth, there's a set of learnable principles. Just like learning to swim means mastering how to breathe, learning to make money means mastering the rules, and those rules can be learned. 1. Don't let a poor mindset lock up your wallet. Bodo found that what stops people from becoming wealthy isn't a lack of ability or resources, it's the false beliefs buried deep in their subconscious. In his book, he lists a few of the most typical wealth killers, the mindset of the poor. The first one, I'm just not destined to make big money in this life. That's the most dangerous kind of self-limit. When Bodo was 26, he was 40,000 euros in debt, constantly hounded by creditors, and felt like his life was over. But later, he realized that thought was like slapping a label on himself. What you believe, you become. It's like someone who always says, I'm bad at math, and ends up getting worse at it. If you keep saying, I'll never make money, you'll unconsciously avoid opportunities to earn it. The second belief, saving money makes life worse. A lot of people equate saving with being stingy, thinking that saving means eating less, wearing less. But Bodo's personal experience was the opposite. After he started saving 10% of his income every month, his quality of life didn't go down. It actually felt more secure. Because he knew he had money protecting him. Real saving isn't about depriving yourself. It's about trading short-term restraint for long-term freedom. Like a farmer storing seeds in autumn, not because he doesn't like eating grain, but because he wants a harvest next year. The third belief, I'll learn about money once I have some. That's completely backward. Bodo says your financial skills are like muscles. The more you train them, the stronger they get. If you don't, even if someone handed you a mountain of gold, you'd lose it all. He's seen it countless times. Lottery winners who end up poorer than before because they never learned to manage money, only to spend it. The core of wealth isn't how much you have, but how well you manage what you have. And that's something anyone can learn. 2. The starting point of wealth. Take 100% responsibility for your life. Bodo keeps coming back to one word, responsibility. Not whose fault is it, but what can I do about it? He tells a striking story. Twin brothers grew up in the same poor family, an alcoholic father, a sick mother. The younger brother ended up on the streets saying, "This is just my fate. Look at the family I was born into." The older brother, however, worked odd jobs to save money for school and became a lawyer. He said, "It's precisely because my family was like that I had to change. Same environment, different results. The difference lies in your response." Bodo says, poor people look for excuses, while rich people look for solutions. Taking responsibility for your finances doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means realizing no one's coming to save you except you. Someone might complain, "My salary's too low, I can't save." Bodo would ask, "Can you make an extra 500 after work? Can you cut 300 of useless spending each month?" The truth is, opportunities hide in the details, and only responsible people can see them. 3. Set goals that must come true. Only then will wealth come to you. Vague wishes never turn into reality. Bodo found that everyone who reached financial freedom had one thing in common. Their goals were concrete enough to visualize. When he was young, he set a goal to become a millionaire before turning 30. It wasn't a random wish. He wrote it down in his journal and looked at it every day. On my 30th birthday, I'll have 1 million euros in my bank account. Then he did the math, how much to save each month, what return he needed, what income streams to build. And he actually made it happen. Not because of luck, but because his goal was so specific that it gave his actions direction. So how do you set clear goals? Bodo gives a simple formula. First, define the time frame, like within 7 years, not someday. Second, set a specific amount, 1 million euros, not a lot of money. Third, visualize the picture. I'm living in a house by the lake, working 3 days a week, and traveling with my family the rest of the time. The more specific it is, the more your subconscious helps make it real. He says, a goal is like a lighthouse. No matter how many times you drift off course, as long as you keep your eyes on it, you'll find your way back. Those without goals, they're just drifting in the ocean, going wherever the wind blows. 4. The compound effect of wealth. Get 1% better every day, and in 7 years, it's a miracle. Most people think getting rich takes a big break, but Bodo believes it's all about small, consistent gains. In his book, he does the math. If you learn 1% more about finance every day, save 1% more of your income each week, and try 1% more new opportunities every month, in 7 years your wealth could be 10 times what it is today. That's the power of compounding. Wealth doesn't grow in explosions, it snowballs. He started by saving just €500 a month, learned to invest, grew his returns from 3% to 12%, and 20 years later, that snowball was big enough for him to live off the interest. He warns, don't underestimate small daily progress. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack patience. They want to get rich overnight and end up not starting at all. Why does Bodo say wealth is something you can learn? Because it follows rules. You can learn how to set goals, control expenses, make your money grow, and even handle failure. These are all skills, just like driving or cooking, that anyone can master if they're willing to put in the time. Those who say, I just can't learn it, are really just avoiding the pain of change and the risk of mistakes. But Bodo warns, the pain of avoiding is 10 times worse than the pain of learning. Because avoidance keeps you stuck forever, while learning only makes you uncomfortable for a while. Once you truly believe wealth can be learned, the next step is to face reality. If you're still carrying debt, your first financial lesson is learning how to break free from it. After all, a snowball can only roll on solid ground, not in the mud. In the next part, we'll talk about how to clear your debts and pave the way for real wealth. When you finally face your financial situation, you might realize a painful truth. Not only do you have no savings, but you're buried in debt. That's when panic hits. Debt feels like a mountain you'll never climb over. But Bodo Schaefer gives a comforting truth in his book. Debt isn't a death sentence. It's something you can fix. The key is to use the right cure. First, learn to tell whether your debt is poison or a vaccine. Schaefer divides debt into two very different kinds. One is stupid debt, the kind that makes you poorer the longer you pay. That's debt for consumption. Buying the latest phone, traveling abroad, luxury handbags. The money you spend brings no return, just monthly repayment stress. For example, someone buys a $20,000 bag on a 12-month credit plan, paying $3,000 extra in interest. A year later, the bag's value drops in half, but the debt's still there. That's literally paying to get poorer. Bodo once met an extreme case, a woman who used 5 credit cards to keep up appearances. She kept buying plane tickets, staying in hotels, posting fancy photos online. Her debt ballooned to $200,000. The moment her paycheck arrived, it all went to interest. She even had to borrow money just to eat. She thought she was living her best life, but in reality she was working for the bank. The other kind is smart debt, the kind that makes you richer. This debt is for investment. Say taking a loan to buy a rental property that covers its own mortgage, or borrowing to start a business that earns far more than the interest you owe. Schaefer himself took out a loan to start his company. At first, the interest payments were tough, but once the business made a profit, he paid off the debt fast, and his wealth grew tenfold. The difference? Stupid debt disappears once you spend it. Smart debt grows. It's like a farmer borrowing money to buy seeds. It looks like debt at first, but those seeds grow into crops that feed you and pay off the loan. Second, here are 3 counterintuitive tricks to kill off stupid debt fast. If your debt falls into that stupid category, Schaefer offers a clean-cut method. The same one he used to clear €40,000 of debt in just 3 years. Step 1. Lock your credit cards away and use only cash. Schaefer calls credit cards painkillers for spending. It feels painless when you swipe. The pain comes when the bill arrives. He suggests keeping 1 card for emergencies and locking up or cutting up the rest. Use cash for everyday expenses. For example, if your monthly budget is $3,000, divide it into 4 envelopes of $750 each. Use one, then move to the next. Why does it work? Because when you pay with cash, you see the money leaving your hands. It triggers restraint. With a card, it's just numbers changing. Impulse takes over. One of Schaefer's students tried this and ended up saving $2,500 a month. She said, "When I used my card, I'd buy milk tea or take a taxi without thinking. But with cash, I'd think, that's $20 gone for a drink? Nah, I'll skip it. Step 2. Follow the 50-50 rule. Pay off debt and raise your goose at the same time. The biggest mistake people make is throwing every penny at debt and saving nothing. Then when life hits, like losing a job, they fall right back into debt. Schaefer's rule is simple. After your basic expenses, split what's left in half. Half goes to debt, half goes to savings. Say you manage to free up $2,000. Pay $1,000 toward your credit card and save $1,000 for emergencies. That way, you're cutting debt while building resilience. Saving and repaying aren't either or. They're like breathing and eating. You have to do both to survive. Step 3. Don't hide from your creditors. Talk to them. Most people in debt avoid calls, even change numbers. Schaefer says that's a huge mistake. The more open you are, the more likely they'll help. When he owed money to a bank, he went straight to the manager and said, "Here's what I can afford each month. Could you lower the interest? Otherwise, I'll never get out of this." The bank agreed. Why? Because for them, getting their principal back is better than losing it all. Third, beware of the biggest trap. Don't trade your health for being debt-free. Schaefer noticed many people try to pay off debt by working 3 jobs, staying up late, eating cheap junk food. Then their bodies crash, and all their money goes to hospital bills. Debt is just numbers. Your health is the foundation. Don't mix them up. He suggests keeping 3 things for yourself while paying off debt. First, a health budget. At least $500 a month for good food and exercise. Second, half a day each week for learning, upgrading your skills to earn more later. Third, small rewards, like treating yourself to a nice meal after clearing a payment. It keeps you motivated. When you follow these methods, your stupid debt slowly disappears. You'll notice something magical. Your pockets start to have extra cash, and your anxiety starts to fade. That's the time to shift your focus, from saving money to making money. Because saving alone only gets you out of poverty. To get rich, you need to learn how to grow your income. In the next part, we'll break down Bodo Schaefer's income multiplier, how ordinary people can stop trading time for money and start earning with skill and strategy. A lot of people say, "I can't make big money. My salary's just that much." But Bodo Schaefer bangs the table and says, "Your salary is just the starting point, not the finish line." True masters of income know how to make money chase them. He himself went from a salesman making a few €1,000 a month to a man living off interest, all by following 3 core strategies. The first method, make yourself rare. Turning from an employee into an expert. Schaefer realized that the biggest difference between ordinary earners and high earners isn't effort, it's irreplaceability. As he says, if you do what everyone else can do, you'll only earn what everyone else earns. But if you do what few can do, you'll earn what few can earn. So, how do you make yourself rare? First, go deep in one field and become the best at it. When Schaefer was young, he sold insurance. While everyone else focused on sales pitches, he spent 6 months studying how to help clients save 30% on premiums. He became the go-to guy in the company for insurance optimization. Clients came to him, and his income multiplied 5-fold. He says, "Don't be afraid of a narrow field. If you become number 1 in it, there's always room to grow." Next, make your expertise visible. Some people say, "I'm good at what I do," but nobody knows it. Schaefer's solution: put your work out there. Write, speak, share, help others solve problems. When he first started giving finance talks, only 5 people showed up. 6 months later, people began paying him for consultations. Expertise is like a spark. If you don't fan it, it dies out. The more you show up, the bigger the fire spreads. The key mindset: stop jumping tracks. Run your current track until it becomes your own lane. Schaefer once met a janitor who studied glass cleaning so deeply that a 5-star hotel hired him as a technical consultant, earning more than the managers. Every field has gold buried in it. The problem is, few people dig deep enough to find it. The second method: open more income streams. Don't live your whole life off one paycheck. People who rely on a single salary have zero financial resilience. Schaefer keeps stressing the importance of multiple income sources. His own income structure is simple. His main job is financial training. His side income comes from book royalties, and his investments come from stocks and real estate. If one source falters, the other two hold him steady. There are 3 practical side income paths for ordinary people. First, make money from your hobbies. If you love plants, start an online flower shop. If you're good at cooking, make tutorials or sell recipes. Schaefer says, don't underestimate your passions. Someone teaching people how to grow succulents makes over 20,000 yuan a month. Second, make money from your skills. If you know Photoshop, copywriting, or appliance repair, take gigs on freelance platforms. Earning an extra 2,000, 5,000 yuan a month isn't hard. The trick is to start free, help people, build a portfolio, then charge. When Schaefer started doing financial planning, he did it for free. As his reputation grew, people began paying for his advice. Third, make your money work for you. Even if you invest just 1,000 yuan a month in an index fund with an 8% annual return, in 10 years, you'll have over 100,000 more. That's passive income, small at first, but it snowballs. Remember, a side hustle isn't random tinkering. It should complement your main job. If you're a teacher, offer family education consulting. If you're a programmer, teach coding. That way, you gain experience and multiply your strengths. The third method, change your income habits. Save for security before spending on desire. Many people earn more but never save more. They just spend it all. Schaefer's counterintuitive rule is simple. When money comes in, save 10-20% first, then spend the rest. He gives an example. 2 co-workers both get a 1,000 yen raise. One spends it all on handbags and dinners. A year later, she's still broke. The other saves 500 yuan a month. A year later, she has 6,000 yuan plus interest, enough to buy a new fridge. The difference isn't how much you earn, it's how much you keep. When you get a raise, be greedy about saving. Schaefer suggests saving half of every raise. If your salary goes from 8,000 to 10,000 yuan, save 1,000 and use the other 1,000 to improve your lifestyle. That way, you don't feel deprived, and your golden goose grows faster. Why do these methods make money chase you? Because they follow the core logic of wealth. The rarer your value, the more people are willing to pay for it. The better you manage money, the more it stays with you. Schaefer's rise from debt to wealth didn't come from a lucky windfall. It came from steadily increasing his income and making every yuan work for him. But income alone isn't enough. As he says, high income doesn't mean wealth. True skill is in keeping money and making it grow. Next, let's dive into the most crucial part: how to turn the money you've saved into a golden goose that lays eggs on its own. Bodo Schaefer once told a parable in his book. A farmer found that his goose laid a golden egg every day. At first he was thrilled, but later, greed got the best of him. He killed the goose, hoping to get all the gold at once, and ended up with nothing. This story reveals a core truth about wealth. Saving is about raising the goose, and investing is about helping it lay more eggs. But most people either never raise a goose or kill it too early just to grab an egg. Let's start with saving. Saving means feeding the goose first, and then feeding yourself. A lot of people think saving means cutting back or living miserably, but Bodo defines it differently. Saving means paying yourself first. You set aside a part of your income before you spend. That step is the foundation of raising your goose. Without the goose, there are no golden eggs. The key method is to save 10% automatically every month. Lock in the habit with an auto transfer. When Bodo was young, he tried many saving tricks, but found the most effective one was this. Right after getting paid, transfer 10% into a separate goose account. For example, if you earn $8,000, move $800 into another bank card first, then plan your expenses with the remaining $7,200. He said people feel the pain of loss far more than the joy of gain. When you save first and spend later, you'll naturally adjust to living on the smaller amount. But if you spend first and save what's left, you'll probably save nothing at all. So why 10%? because that number doesn't hurt. Skip a few milk teas or a couple of rides and you'll save it easily. It won't affect your lifestyle. But the power of compounding is incredible. If you save $1,000 a month at an 8% annual return, after 10 years you'll have $200,000. After 20 years, $700,000. After 30 years, $2 million. That's the true power of the goose. Here's a big warning. Never kill your goose. Many people can't resist touching their savings. Short $5,000 for a trip, take it from the goose. Need $3,000 for a new phone? Just a little bit, right? But Bodo says once you cut into the goose, it never grows back the same. He suggests setting one rule for your goose account. Unless it's a life or death emergency, don't touch a single cent. Now let's talk about investing. Investing means helping your goose lay more eggs, using compound interest to build momentum. Saving raises the goose. Investing helps it produce more eggs. Bodo always says, a goose that only saves lays small eggs, but a goose that invests lays golden ones. He calls compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Simply put, compound interest means earning interest on your interest. For example, if you start with $100,000 at a 12% annual return, after 1 year, you earn $12,000. Your new principal becomes $112,000, and the next year you earn $13,400, and so on. Bodo calculated that with $100,000 at 12% per year, in 30 years, it grows to $3 million. That's not magic, it's math. How to remember the power of compounding. Use the rule of 72. Take 72 divided by your annual return, and that's how many years it takes to double your money. At 12%, 72, 12, or 6, so your money doubles every 6 years. At 6%, it doubles in 12. That's why starting early matters more than investing a lot. If you start at 25 instead of 35, the difference after 30 years could be millions. Bodo doesn't recommend day trading or futures. They're too risky for most people. Instead, he suggests diversification. Keep some money in money market funds, flexible, safe, 2 to 3% a year. That's your emergency egg. Put most of it into index funds like the CSI 300 or S&P 500, earning 8 to 12% long-term. That's your steady egg. And use a small portion for sector funds like tech or consumer. Higher risk, higher return, like giving your goose an extra meal. The key is to hold long-term. Bodo rarely holds any fund for less than 5 years. He says short-term volatility is just noise. Long-term trends are the real signal. It's like raising a goose. You don't kill it just because it didn't lay an egg today. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing spending with investing. Someone might say, I bought a house, it's an investment. But Bodo would ask, do you live in it or rent it out? If you live in it, paying mortgage and fees every month, money flows out. It's a liability. Only if it generates rent that covers costs and leaves profit is it a real investment. The same goes for buying luxury goods as investment or frequent stock trading. Those are just consumption in disguise. Bodo's rule is simple. Investment brings money into your pocket. Spending sends it out. Get that wrong, and your goose will never grow. Why? Because this step determines whether you'll ever reach financial freedom. Saving is your shield. It protects you from risk. Investing is your spear. It creates returns. Without the shield, one accident resets everything. Without the spear, your goose never grows big enough, and the eggs will never set you free. When your goose is big enough, say with $1 million in capital earning 10% a year, that's $8,300 a month in eggs. At that point, you no longer work for money. Money works for you. That's the starting line of financial freedom. But just having a goose and some eggs isn't enough. You need to raise it in stages. First, make sure the eggs can cover your needs. That's financial security. Next, make sure the eggs can cover your wants. That's financial stability. Finally, when the eggs can fund your dreams, that's real financial freedom. In the next part, we'll break down these 3 stages, step by step, and see how ordinary people can let their goose lead them to true freedom. Bodo Schaefer drew a wealth ladder in his book. The bottom rung is financial crisis. The middle rungs are financial security and financial safety, and the top rung is financial freedom. He emphasizes that you can't just jump up out of nowhere. You have to climb step by step with clear goals and methods for each step. Skip any step and you'll fall. Step 1. Financial security. First build a lifebuoy, then think about swimming. The core of financial security is risk resistance. If you suddenly lose your job, get sick, or run into an emergency, the money you have on hand lets you deal with it calmly. You won't have to beg for loans or be forced to do a job you hate. How to do it specifically. First, figure out your baseline. List your essential monthly expenses like rent, food, and basic insurance, excluding entertainment and shopping. Let's say that's $5,000 a month. Then, save enough to cover 6 to 12 months of living expenses. At $5,000 a month, that means saving $30,000 to $60,000. This money is your lifebuoy. It needs to be safe and easy to access, like putting it in a demand deposit or money market fund. Don't use it to buy stocks or mutual funds. If you lose money when you need it in an emergency, it loses its purpose. When Schaefer first started working, this was exactly how he saved his first sum of money. Back then, he earned €3,000 a month and saved €1,000 without fail every month. After 8 months, he had enough to cover 6 months of living expenses. He said, "With this money, I dared to say no to my boss for the first time. When he asked me to work overtime on weekends, I could refuse, because I knew I could hold on for half a year even if I got fired." Here's a key insight. Financial security isn't the end, it's the starting point. It's like building a house. You have to lay the foundation first. Without this layer of security, the financial safety and freedom that come after are just castles in the air. Step 2. Financial safety. Let money work for you so you don't have to work just to survive. The core of financial safety is having passive income cover your basic expenses. You don't need to work. The monthly income from interest, rent, etc. is enough for you to live well. Only then have you truly escaped the fate of working for money. How to do it specifically. First, figure out how many golden eggs you need per month. Taking the monthly essential expense of $5,000 as an example, that's the monthly golden egg you need. Next, you have to raise a goose that can lay such eggs based on an 8% annual return, a rate achievable with conservative index funds or stable financial products. The principal required equals your monthly expense multiplied by 150. Why 150? Because an 8% annual return translates to roughly 0.67% per month, and 1 divided by 0.67% is about 150. So $5,000 multiplied by 150 equals $750,000. In other words, if you have a principal of $750,000 with an 8% annual return, you can earn $5,000 per month, which just covers your basic expenses. That's financial safety. Schaefer spent 5 years reaching this step. He said, "It was only then that I truly understood. Security isn't about having money in hand. It's about knowing I won't go hungry even if I just laze around." But a crucial reminder, you must never touch the principle of this goose. Just like you wouldn't kill a goose that lays golden eggs, this money should only be used to earn interest. Never take it to buy a car or go on a trip. Once you touch the principle, the golden eggs will get fewer and fewer, and your financial safety will be gone for good. Step 3. Financial freedom. Not just living to survive, but living for your dreams. Financial freedom goes a step further than financial safety. You don't just get by, you live well. Expenses for dreams like traveling, buying things you love, supporting your family, and doing charity can all be covered by passive income. How to do it specifically. First, figure out how many golden eggs your dreams need. Make a list of your dreams and their monthly costs. For example, 2 trips a year works out to $2,000 a month. A small vacation apartment translates to a $3,000 monthly mortgage, $1,000 a month for your parents' support, totaling $6,000 a month. Then, feed the goose more. Add the previous basic expenses of $, and you need $11,000 in monthly golden eggs. At an 8% annual return, the required principal is $11,000 times 150, which is $1.65 million. You can invest this money more flexibly, put part in stable financial products for safety, and invest part in high-yield projects like sector funds or high-quality stocks to pursue growth. Schaefer said, Financial freedom isn't about how much money you have. It's about how much choice you have. You can say no to things you don't want to do and choose things you do want to do. Money is just a tool to help you achieve that. Why do these 3 steps have to be taken step by step? Many people want to skip the first 2 steps and jump straight to financial freedom, but they usually end up falling hard. Schaefer has seen people who, after saving just a $100,000 downy, jump into stock trading hoping to quickly turn it into $1 million, only to end up with just $20,000 left. If you don't have financial security, your ability to resist risk is 0. If you don't have financial safety, your dreams are just bubbles. These 3 steps are like climbing stairs. First, stand firm on the first step, security. Then go up to the second, safety. And only then can you reach the third, freedom. Each step relies on the accumulation from the previous one. You can't rush it. But methods alone aren't enough. Schaefer repeats in his book that the people around you determine how fast you can climb. Climbing alone with your head down makes it easy to get tired and give up. But if you have a coach to guide you and peers to cheer you on, it'll be much easier. In the next part, we'll talk about how to use your network and a coach to make your wealth journey smoother. Bodo Schaefer wrote a thought-provoking sentence in his book. Wealth is like a plant. Having just seeds and soil isn't enough. It also needs sunlight, rain, and the strength to take root. Many people learn a bunch of financial management skills but still stay stuck in the same place. What they're missing is this final piece of the puzzle. It's not that they lack ability, it's that their environment and mindset are holding them back. First, let's talk about your circle. The people around you are the ceiling of your wealth. If you stay with flies, you'll only learn to hover around rotten meat. If you stay with bees, you'll learn to collect nectar. This sentence from Bodo Schaefer reveals the secret of social circles. When he was young, he noticed a pattern. The social circles of the poor and the rich are almost completely different. The poor talk about gossip, discounts, and complaints. The rich talk about opportunities, growth, and solving problems. Social circles have 3 hidden influences. The first is the assimilation of your thinking. When Bodo Schaefer first started working, his colleagues always said, "This is how life will be for us. Don't bother trying to change it." He almost believed it too, until he met Ms. Ju Fang, an entrepreneur. Ms. Ju Fang always said, "There's a way to fix this." And that's how he slowly broke out of the resign yourself to fate mindset. The things you hear every day will gradually become what you believe, and eventually, you'll live your life accordingly. The second influence is the filtering of opportunities. There's an information gap hidden in the circles of the rich. Who has a good project? Where can I get a low-interest loan? Which industry is about to boom? This kind of information won't just fall into your ears out of nowhere. When Bodo Schaefer made his first real estate investment, it was a friend in his circle who told him, "The suburbs will get a subway line soon." He bought a property in advance and made his first pot of gold. The third influence is the motivation to take action. If a group of people are all slacking off, your hard work will make you stand out in an awkward way. But if a group of people are all moving forward, you won't even be able to stop yourself. Bodo Schaefer joined a wealth group where everyone shared their savings and talked about their progress every week. Anyone who slacked off would be teased, and this peer pressure is 10 times more effective than self-motivation. So some people might ask, how can ordinary people change their social circles? Don't rush to distance yourself from anyone. First, take the initiative to get close to people who are richer and stronger than you. Attend industry summits or paid courses. Even if you just sit in the audience and listen, then hand them a cup of coffee to ask for advice after the event. Gradually, you'll build connections. Bodo Schaefer said, "You don't sneak into a circle, you attract it to you." If you have value, people will naturally be willing to include you. At the beginning, you can provide value in small ways, like helping them organize materials or sharing information you know. Sincerity is always the best way to open doors. Next, let's talk about coaches. They're like wealth navigators that help you avoid 10 years of detours. Bodo Schaefer said, "Without coaches, I would have needed at least 10 more years to achieve financial freedom." Bodo Schaefer has thanked his several coaches in his books more than once, from his first mentor who taught him to save, to the billionaire who introduced him to the world of investing. Coaches have three core roles. The first is helping you avoid fatal mistakes. Common financial mistakes ordinary people make, like buying stocks when prices are high and selling when they're low, or investing all their money in real estate, can be cleared up with just one sentence from a coach. When Bodo Schaefer was young, he almost invested all his money in a company that seemed profitable. His coach stopped him and asked, "Do you really understand its business model?" Later, that company really went bankrupt. The second role is pushing you out of your comfort zone. You're always lenient with yourself. "I'm too tired today. I'll save money tomorrow." Or, "This project is too hard. Forget it." But a coach won't let you off the hook. Bodo Schaefer's coach once forced him to give a lecture within 3 months. He was terrified, but after the lecture he received his first consulting fee, and only then did he realize he could make money this way. The third role is giving you a high-level perspective. When you're torn between saving in a bank or buying funds, a coach sees how to allocate them to resist risks. When you're torn between quitting your job to start a business, a coach sees whether you have enough risk capital. It's like climbing a mountain. Someone standing at the top can tell you which path is easy to walk, but when you're halfway up, you can only see the rocks right in front of you. So how do you find a suitable coach? They don't have to be billionaires. They just need to have 3 to 5 more years of experience on the path you want to take. For example, if you want to make money from a side hustle, find someone who's good at side hustles. If you want to invest in funds, find someone with good long-term returns. Paid consulting or attending their courses are both ways to connect. Bodo Schaefer said, "Good coaches are never free, because their time is valuable, but the value they bring you will far exceed the money you pay." Finally, let's talk about mindset. It's the wealth gene that's more important than skills. No matter how good the method is, if your mindset collapses, everything goes back to zero. Bodo Schaefer has seen too many people like this. They learn to save, but can't help spending the money. They learn to invest, but are too afraid of losses to take action. They learn methods, but always say, "I'll do it tomorrow." These aren't ability problems. They're mindset problems. There are 3 wealth mindsets you must develop. The first is the courage to not fear making mistakes. Bodo Schaefer lost 30% of his money in his first stock investment and almost decided to never touch stocks again. His coach told him, "Investing is like learning to walk. You have to fall a few times before you can walk." Later, he learned from that mistake and made a rule. Don't invest in areas you don't understand. And that actually helped him avoid bigger mistakes. A true expert doesn't never make mistakes. They just don't fear making them. And more importantly, they don't repeat the same mistakes. The second is the clarity to reject excuses. Phrases like, "I don't have time," "I don't have capital," or "I have bad luck" seem like reasons, but they're actually get-out-of-jail-free cards for yourself. When you're in debt, no one will say you don't have to pay it back. You can only think about how to make more money. Excuses are like anesthetics. They feel good for a moment, but they'll keep you stuck in the same place forever. The third is the patience of long-term thinking. Wealth is a slow variable. It's like planting a fruit tree. You can't see any fruit in the first few years, so some people cut the tree down. Bodo Schaefer's Goose took 5 years to start laying big golden eggs. He felt anxious in the first few years too, but his coach said, "Think about 5 years from now." And that's how he stuck it out. You have to believe, every dollar you save and every piece of knowledge you learn now is laying the foundation for your future self. You just can't see it yet. Why are these 3 the final piece of the puzzle? Because methods and plans are the hardware, while your circle, coaches, and mindset are the software. Without software, the hardware can't run. It's like a car. Having an engine alone isn't enough. You also need navigation, other cars on the same road, and the courage to step on the gas. When you have these soft powers, you'll no longer worry about, "Can I do this?" You'll only think about, "What's the next step?" And real action is never a earth-shattering big thing. It grows from the small things you do every day. In the next part, we'll take the final step. After reading this book, what specific things can you do today, this week, and this month to turn your knowledge of the wealth path into action? The moment you close the book, you might be filled with enthusiasm, or you might feel a little confused. You understand all the principles, but you don't know where to start. Bodo Schaefer hides a core logic in his book. The miracle of wealth lies in small but consistent actions. The checklist below, from today to the long term, has every step specific enough to be put into practice. Today, spend 1 hour facing reality and plant the seed of change. First, do a financial checkup. Turn to the 24 self-analysis questions in the book, like what's your net worth, or how much do you save each month, and answer honestly. Don't worry if the results aren't good. The key is to write down the answers. It's like getting a blood test before seeing a doctor. This is the initial data for your wealth journey. Second, open a wealth account. Go to a bank and open a new bank card, name it My Wealth Account, and immediately set up automatic transfers. After getting your salary, transfer 10% of it into this account first. For example, if your monthly salary is $8,000, transfer $800. You don't have to wait for your next salary. Set the rules now and let the system force you to save. Third, write down 3 wealth beliefs. Take a piece of paper and write, My 3 true thoughts about money. Like, I think saving money makes me feel wronged. Or, I'm afraid of losing money in investments. And mark, is this true? Next to each. Don't underestimate this step. You're already breaking old ways of thinking. This week, use 3 small things to start the engine and make change visible. First, make a debt list and repay using the 50-50 principle. Write down all your debts, credit cards, online loans, etc. Mark the interest rates and minimum monthly repayments, and calculate how much extra money you can have each month, say $2,000. Use 50% to pay off the debt with the highest interest rate and 50% to deposit into your wealth account. Bodo Schaefer says that repaying debts and saving at the same time is the only way to avoid falling into the same trap again. Second, keep a wealth success journal. Prepare a notebook and write down 3 things you did well every day, even if it's, I resisted the urge to spend money randomly today. This is a mindset exercise that Bodo Schaefer emphasizes repeatedly. You will gradually believe in your ability to do things, and confidence is a catalyst for wealth. Third, delete 2 spending trap apps from your phone, such as shopping apps that always push discounted products or short video apps that make you can't stop scrolling. It's not that you'll never spend money again. It's about reducing the temptation to spend passively. Just like you clean out the snack cabinet first when losing weight, you should clean out spending triggers first when managing your finances. This month, use 2 key actions to build the scaffold for your wealth. First, read a personal finance book and take 10 notes. You don't have to choose a difficult one. For example, The Richest Man in Babylon. This is an introductory book Schaefer wrote for beginners. Or Poor Charlie's Almanac. This book is about ways of thinking. Underline key points while reading, like how to calculate compound interest or how to refuse unproductive socializing, and write them down in a notebook. Knowledge only becomes yours when you write it down. Second, meet someone who is richer than you. It could be a senior colleague at work, a finance expert in a community, or even someone you consult online. Start by saying, I just read The Road to Financial Freedom and want to ask how you started saving. Don't be afraid of rejection. Most people are willing to share their experience, and this is your first step to changing your social circle. In the long run, use 3 annual tasks to make your wealth grow like a snowball. First, save 12 months of living expenses each year to achieve financial security first. This sum of money, 6 to 12 months of living expenses, should only be placed in a money market fund and never touched. With it, you'll have the confidence to refuse jobs you hate and try new opportunities. As Bodo Schaefer said, security isn't given by others, it's saved by yourself. Second, learn 1 investment skill every year. Learn how to buy index funds in the first year, how to read financial reports in the second year, and real estate investment in the third year. Just master the basics. You don't need to become an expert. It's recommended to follow channels that focus on getting rich slowly, such as investor education columns of fund companies or reliable finance bloggers. Professionalism is the amulet for investment. Third, help 3 people solve money problems every year. For example, teach a friend the 50-50 repayment method, help your family open a wealth account, or share your changes with strangers. Bodo found that the process of teaching others is the process of thoroughly learning yourself. More importantly, helping others will make you believe money is good, and this mindset will attract more wealth. One last thing. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Now is the best time. Bodo wrote at the end of his book, "The you in 7 years will thank the you today for taking one extra step." Wealth never comes suddenly. It's built up slowly by today's savings, this week's learning, and this month's social connections. Put down the checklist and do the first thing first. Take out your phone and open a wealth account. Change starts with no hesitation. Finally, congratulations on finishing another book.